The night before my first solo flight, sleep was impossible. My room was filled with the soft glow of a bedside lamp, casting long shadows over the packed suitcase by the door. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind would jolt awake, replaying the checklist of things I needed to remember. The air felt thick with anticipation, and the silence of the house only made my thoughts louder. My mind bounced between wild excitement and sudden panic. One moment, I was grinning at the thought of adventure. The next, my stomach twisted with nerves. I could almost hear the hum of the airplane engines in my head mingling with the rapid beat of my heart. I wondered if other travelers felt this same cocktail of hope and fear before their first big journey. I imagined soaring above the clouds, watching the world shrink beneath me, the city lights turning into tiny constellations. I pictured myself pressed against the window, marveling at the endless sky, feeling both impossibly small and incredibly free. The idea of leaving everything familiar behind was thrilling, like stepping into a story I'd always wanted to live. But then, just as quickly, anxiety crept in. What if I lost my ticket? What if I misplaced my boarding pass at the last second or left it in a taxi? I pictured myself frantically searching every pocket, my heart pounding as the line behind me grew impatient. The fear of making a rookie mistake felt overwhelming. Or worse, what if I ended up in the wrong country altogether? Airports seemed like labyrinths in my imagination, full of signs in unfamiliar languages and endless corridors. I worried about missing a connection, getting lost, or accidentally boarding the wrong flight. The possibilities for disaster seemed endless, each one more far-fetched than the last, but all of them felt real in the quiet of the night. My brain became a relentless what-if machine, conjuring up every possible disaster. What if my luggage got lost? What if I forgot something essential, like my phone charger or my wallet? I imagined myself stranded, alone in a foreign place, desperately trying to figure out what to do next. The more I tried to calm myself, the more scenarios my mind invented. I checked my passport for the 17th time, convinced I'd forget something crucial. I flipped through my documents, double-checked my tickets, and made sure my ID was exactly where it should be. Each time I told myself it was the last check, but a few minutes later, I'd be at it again, unable to trust my own memory. The house was quiet, but inside I was a bundle of nerves and anticipation. The ticking of the clock seemed louder than usual, marking the slow passage of time until morning. I sat in the living room, surrounded by my bags, feeling the weight of the moment. It was as if the whole world was holding its breath, waiting for me to take that first step. This wasn't just a trip. It was a leap into the unknown, both terrifying and exhilarating. I knew that once I walked out the door, everything would change. I would be on my own, responsible for every decision, every mistake, and every discovery. The thought was daunting, but it was also exactly what I'd been dreaming of for so long. As dawn crept in, painting the sky with soft pinks and golds, I accepted my fate. Ready or not, the adventure was about to begin. I took a deep breath, grabbed my suitcase, and stepped into the new day, heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. This was my moment, and I was finally ready to embrace it. Morning arrived, and with it, a sense of anticipation that buzzed through the house. Packing wasn't just a task. It was a ritual, a way of preparing not just my belongings, but my mind for the adventure ahead. The suitcase lay open on my bed, a blank canvas waiting to be filled with the essentials and the little comforts of home. Each item I chose seemed to carry its own story. The well-worn jeans that had seen countless family picnics, the favorite t-shirt that always made me feel lucky, and the sturdy shoes that promised to carry me through new cities and unknown streets. Every item felt symbolic: confidence, adventure, and of course, emergency chocolate from my mom. I tucked in a small notebook for thoughts and sketches, a photo of my family, and a lucky charm from my best friend. Even the snacks I packed seemed to whisper encouragement, promising a taste of home when I needed it most. Packing was more than just fitting things into a suitcase. It was about carrying pieces of my world with me, reminders of who I was and where I came from. As I zipped up the suitcase, I found a handwritten note from my mom tucked inside, a few words of love and reassurance that made my heart swell. It was these small gestures that made leaving both harder and easier at the same time. Goodbyes at the door were quiet but meaningful. A squeeze from my dad, his eyes shining with pride and a hint of worry. He told me to trust myself, to remember that I was braver than I thought. His words echoed in my mind, a steady anchor as I stepped into the unknown. My mom's hug lingered, warm and enveloping, as if she could shield me from the world for just a moment longer. She whispered reminders to eat well, to call often, and to take care of myself. Her embrace was a mixture of love, hope, and the bittersweet ache of letting go. I promised to call when I landed, my voice steady even as my heart fluttered with nerves. Waving goodbye, I felt the weight of their hopes and dreams traveling with me, invisible but ever present. The drive to the airport blurred by, the city outside the window familiar, yet suddenly distant. Conversation in the car was light, filled with jokes and stories meant to distract from the growing sense of change. We talked about everything and nothing, favorite movies, silly memories, and what I might eat on the plane. It was our way of holding on to normalcy for just a little longer. I watched the world rush past, my hands fidgeting in my lap, excitement and anxiety swirling together. The closer we got, the more real it all felt. The first airport sign made my heart leap. This was real now. The familiar roads gave way to the sprawling expanse of the airport, a place where journeys begin and end, where every goodbye is matched by a new hello. The departures curb felt like the gateway to a new world. Glass, steel, and a buzz of global energy. The air was thick with anticipation, the hum of engines and rolling suitcases blending into a symphony of movement. People hugged, laughed, and wiped away tears, each moment a story unfolding. People hurried everywhere, each on their own journey. Some faces were anxious, others beamed with excitement, but all shared the same sense of purpose. I realized I was just one of many, a single thread in the vast tapestry of travel. I stepped out of the car and into the throng, my world suddenly much bigger. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of jet fuel and possibility. My suitcase rolled behind me, a steady companion as I took my first steps toward the unknown. The journey had officially begun. With every step, I felt the past and future meet, the comfort of home blending with the thrill of adventure. Ahead of me lay new experiences, new friends, and stories yet to be written. And as the airport doors slid open, I knew I was ready to embrace it all. Entering the terminal was like stepping into a beehive. Noise, movement, and a sense of organized chaos all around me. The automatic doors slid open, and suddenly I was swept into a current of travelers, each with their own stories, destinations, and dreams. The air buzzed with excitement and a hint of nervousness as families hugged goodbye, business travelers checked their watches, and children tugged at their parents' sleeves, wide-eyed with wonder. The sheer scale of the airport was overwhelming, with its high ceilings, gleaming floors, and endless corridors stretching in every direction. All around me, a dozen languages swirled together, creating a symphony of voices. I caught snippets of conversations in French, Mandarin, Spanish, and languages I couldn't even identify. It was a living mosaic of cultures, a reminder that airports are crossroads where the world meets. The aroma of coffee and pastries drifted from nearby cafes, mingling with the sound of rolling suitcases and distant announcements echoing overhead. Finding the check-in desk felt like embarking on a quest through a labyrinth. I scanned the overhead signs, my eyes darting between arrows and gate numbers, trying to make sense of the maze. My ticket became my compass, guiding me past bustling crowds and long lines. Every step brought a new challenge, dodging luggage carts, weaving through families, and keeping an eye out for my airline's logo among the sea of counters. When I finally reached the check-in counter, the airline agent greeted me with a calm, reassuring smile. Her professionalism and warmth instantly soothed my nerves. She checked my documents, asked about my luggage, and handed me my boarding pass with a gentle, "Have a great flight." That small gesture made me feel seen and welcomed, as if I was more than just another face in the crowd. Security was the next hurdle, a daunting gauntlet of lines, trays, and scanners. I emptied my pockets, removed my shoes, and placed my bag on the conveyor belt, heart pounding with anticipation. The process felt intimidating, but the staff's efficiency and clear instructions helped me through. When I finally emerged on the other side, I felt a surge of accomplishment, as if I'd passed an important test. In the departure lounge, I found a quiet corner by the window and watched planes taxi, take off, and land in a mesmerizing ballet of motion. The scale of the operation was awe-inspiring. Giant machines gliding gracefully across the tarmac, ground crews moving with practiced precision, and travelers from every corner of the globe coming and going. It was a reminder of how connected our world truly is. To ground myself, I wandered into a small shop and bought a bottle of water and a magazine. The simple act of shopping for travel essentials made me feel more at ease, like I was settling into the rhythm of airport life. I flipped through the magazine, sipped my water, and let the anticipation build. Sitting there, I realized I was no longer just a nervous first-timer. I was a passenger, part of the great flow of people moving through this global gateway. My initial anxiety had faded, replaced by a quiet confidence and a sense of belonging. I was ready for the adventure ahead, eager to rise above the clouds and see the world from a new perspective. As I waited at the gate, surrounded by fellow travelers, the air was thick with anticipation. Every announcement, every flicker of the departure board brought us one step closer to our journeys. In that moment, I felt the magic of travel, the promise of new places, new experiences, and the thrill of the unknown. The boarding call sent a jolt through me. This was it. Scanning my pass, I stepped onto the jet bridge, crossing into the extraordinary. The aircraft's cool air and the scent of jet fuel meant adventure. A flight attendant's welcome eased my nerves as I found my window seat. Watching the tarmac bustle outside, I marveled at the choreography of flight. The cabin doors sealed, the world outside faded away. The safety demo and captain's calm voice set the stage. As we pushed back from the gate, there was no turning back. Taxiing to the runway felt like joining a grand parade. The engines roared, the plane vibrated, and excitement surged through me. Acceleration pressed me into my seat. The world blurred by. Then, with a gentle lift, we were airborne, the ground shrinking below. The city unfurled beneath the wing, a map just for me. The engine's steady drone became the soundtrack to my awe. I let go of the armrests, a huge smile on my face. I was flying, suspended between earth and sky, filled with wonder. At cruising altitude, calm settled over the cabin. The view was a sea of clouds, sunlit peaks and shadowy valleys, a sky with its own geography. I explored the plane's small world, sipping ginger ale and watching strangers become a temporary community. A brief chat with my seatmate reminded me travel is about connections, not just destinations. Music in my headphones and golden sunlight on the clouds made the moment feel timeless. Up here, worries faded, only the present mattered. It was a rare chance to simply be grateful for the journey. The captain announced our descent, and anticipation filled the cabin. Through a break in the clouds, I glimpsed the ocean, my destination at last. The landscape sharpened, fields, forests, and winding roads appeared. The runway came into view, and the landing was smooth, a gentle return to Earth. Relief and accomplishment washed over me as applause broke out. I had crossed the sky and arrived safely, changed by the journey. As I gathered my things, I realized I was no longer just a nervous first-timer. I was a traveler, ready for what came next. Stepping into a new country was pure joy. The air, the language, everything felt new. Instead of feeling lost, I felt proud and ready to explore. Waiting for my suitcase, I watched the carousel parade of stories. With my bag in hand, I was equipped for adventure. My aunt's welcoming hug melted away any remaining nerves. "You made it," she said, and I could only smile. Words felt too small for the journey I just completed. The world felt bigger and more accessible. My mind expanded by the leap I'd taken. This first solo flight was just the beginning of my story. There's magic in a first journey, a push that shows us how far we can go. My solo flight taught me the world is less intimidating than it seems, filled with kind strangers and breathtaking views. These journeys shape us, peeling back assumptions and connecting us to a global community. The thrill of takeoff, the peace above the clouds, and the joy of arrival are universal. If you're on the edge of your own adventure, embrace it. The world is waiting. Every journey begins with a single step, and the sky is just the beginning. Thanks for traveling with me. Here's to many more adventures together.